Kia, welcome to the Wholesome Half Hour. My name's Sarah.
And I'm Mackenzie.
And this week we're going to go over some practical steps to reducing anxiety in your life. I know these are just kind of like practical things that you can kind of implement into your everyday routine and stuff to reduce anxiety, reduce stress, and overall kind of feel a bit more relaxed about life. And everything. In general. I know often a lot of the stuff but quite a significant amount of the stuff that comes out that talks about anxiety and stress and stuff like that is kind of more perceptive, which is cool, and that stuff's useful as well, but it's not easy to kind of execute on straight away.
Yeah, I think it's sort of a bit more long term than some of the other options, and I think quite often a shift in mindset actually comes from having practical changes in your life.
Yeah.
They come as a result of it. So having those sort of simple steps that you can kind of incorporate early, I think is a really good way to sort of either start or, even if you just want to finish there and actually helping with your mindset.
Yeah, no, definitely. So the things we're going to talk about today are kind of things that you can kind of take away at the end of this show and kind of start doing kind of today if you wanted to.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. Just before we get into it, if you've got any questions for us that you want us to answer on next week's show or future shows, or if you have an idea for a future show, you should totally let us know. You can DM us on Instagram, you can PM us on Facebook, or you can be old-fashioned, send us an email, studytime@ietutoring.co.nz. I'll put the links to all of those in the notes for this show.
Be even more edgy and send it by carrier pigeon.
Yeah, you should do that. You should send it to our office. We can have the pigeon come in the window.
That would be very artistic. I'd be very excited for that.
Did you know, here's a fun fact from a video that I watched the other day. The US military, or the United States Postal Service, in association with the US military, once sent a load of mail via missile. As in the things they used to send bombs on, but instead of having a bomb attached to the missile, they had a sack of mail. Because it's a weird time before planes were fast enough. I don't know, something. They thought it would be fast, but it didn't work out, it wasn't cost effective, something. There's a good video on it.
I can imagine. Oh God.
Okay, well that's
on that note,
out of the way. So this kind of article is based on the GoPro stopped recording, that's right. This kind of article is based on this episode of the podcast is based on an article written by Charlie Hone on Tim Ferriss's blog. And the original article...
We can link that as well.
Yeah, we'll link that as well. The original article is called How to Cure Anxiety, One Workaholic Story, 6 Techniques That Work. And we've kind of based this show a little bit around that article and the points that he makes.
Yeah, so we're sort of simplifying it a wee bit as well.
Yeah, and kind of tweaking it towards not maybe the kind of business workaholics perspective, but towards the New Zealand high schooler.
Yeah, definitely. And so on this, I guess if anyone wondering, what can I actually do with this from here, incorporating these early is a really good way to sort of move into that sort of exam period that's starting soon, and that's obviously a time with far more stress. And so if you can kind of begin to incorporate these habits now, then I think it goes better ways than trying to sort yourself out later on, which I think most people do anyway, to be quite honest with you. And I think as well, for those sitting the MCAT in the next week or so, anyone who is feeling particularly stressed about that, is probably the first exam you'll have, being level 1 and it being, earlier. So, incorporate some of this stuff now, and hopefully it'll help you get through, this sort of first...
Can you do something weird to your mic cable and just put it like that, and then I will see it less, and I'll get less annoyed later in my life.
I'm so sorry that everything I do is
not
good enough for you.
Seeing lab cables. Anyway, that's another time.
Yeah, I know. I just figured because I was wearing black, you couldn't see it in the shot.
That's fair. 2 kind of things that I want to say as well before we get into this. I'm trying to remember what the first one is. What did I have in my mind a few seconds ago? I cannot remember what the first one is, but I do remember the second one.
All right, hit us with the second one.
What I encourage you, I feel like a lot of the time you can like watch or listen to podcasts like this or read articles like this and never like actually do anything about it.
100%,
so I'd really encourage you, even if it's just one, like even if it's just a single one of the points that we talk about today, like actually taking a meaningful step towards doing that within the next like 24 hours.
Yeah.
And that way you can kind of guarantee that you get some value out of this, and then maybe revisit this podcast in a couple of weeks or a couple of months time.
Yeah, definitely, because the idea is that the stuff we will be talking about are very easy to incorporate, and even ones that seem to be larger have been broken down so that you can take steps towards it, even if you can't begin incorporating it in its entirety straight away.
Have we got a visitor? No?
Yes.
No?
Oh, you guys filming?
Yeah.
Oh, hi. Bye. I thought you guys were like doing something else.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
A bus just came in. Might have to remember to censor that as well. Thanks for that. Anyway, first one is exercise, and I know like everyone's gonna like sigh to hear
I did a little bit as well.
Gotta get on that treadmill every day and run for an hour. But no, seriously, so firstly, it is important to like have some sort of like the word. Let's not use the word like exercise, but the word that actually is used in the article is enjoy guilt-free play with friends, and it's essentially the same thing. If you enjoy going to the gym and running on a treadmill for an hour, by all means, go and do that. But I know
do that, you maladaptive creature,
don't. And have we got a visitor again? What? Hi, how's it going?
If you want to show the people.
Oh yeah, we can do that.
We've got shirts. There are pictures of them right now, but they will be here.
They will be here soon.
Friday.
That's very exciting.
We will talk about these. We will actually talk about them. Yeah. Surprise for later.
I think as well, instead of so much exercise, it should be a focus on activity.
Yeah. Yeah,
and I think that is the crux of it, is that you shouldn't get too focused on like completing a high intensity workout every day, but instead just having some form of activity. Yeah. And in the article they very much recommend doing it with friends or something like that. That's very likely to make you more likely to do it.
Yeah,
I think.
In the article that Charlie wrote, he very much recommends doing like outdoor sports with friends. So whether that be going out at lunch and throwing a frisbee around for half an hour, stuff like that, stuff that gets you active, but stuff that's still fun and like almost things you would like do anyway and not view as exercise. Or
almost just activities that you would reserve for the weekend.
Yeah,
just on the base assumption that is something that you can't do when you're supposed to be serious throughout the week almost.
Yeah. But kind of like incorporating that as a regular thing into your routine is actually like really beneficial. I mean, you get to spend time with people, which is a positive thing, and you also get to get
That's very
active.
subjective. No, I'm sorry.
You get to like get active, get moving, and it's kind of good for your body and good for your mind. And it literally can be like anything, like throwing a frisbee around, going and kicking a ball around, going for like, even if it's like going for like a half-hour walk to like, I don't know, the ocean. I don't know where you live, wherever you live. Rivers,
maybe a bit longer than a half an hour if you live a bit further away from the ocean.
2 hours to the ocean, 3 hours to the ocean.
8 hour walk.
Get on the bike, go to the ocean.
Yeah.
Surely in New Zealand, if you got on a bike, it couldn't take longer than 2 hours to get to the ocean from like anywhere. Surely.
What if you're in like Taupo? The lake doesn't count.
2 hours on a bike to the coast? No?
I think...
I'm being optimistic?
I think you're being very optimistic.
Okay, apologies. Go to the lake then. If you're in Taupo, just go to the lake. But yeah, getting out like and trying to like incorporate some sort of activity into your life on a daily basis is like, really good, really positive thing.
And I think that's it as well, is I think if we use the label of exercise, I think it very much starts to fall under this umbrella of mandatory and therefore like a chore, and therefore you don't want to do it. Whereas if you're thinking instead like, I'm going out for an hour or half an hour with a friend and we're going to like go for a walk, as opposed to just like sit and have coffee or something like that. That's going to do far more. And I think, obviously not seeing it as mandatory, but like, do your best to fit it in, but not the end of the world if not as well.
Yeah.
But the benefits are definitely huge. Like, people report, that they feel much more focused, they're in a much better mood, they find they can get work done to a higher quality and they can get it done faster after exercise. So I think quite often as well we use the excuse of, oh no, I don't have the time to do it, I've got to work on X, whatever it is. And I think because of that we
brush it to the side.
We brush it to the side and we let it fall to the bottom of the pile, whereas actually like quite often if we had this regular routine, we would be better off for it.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where like
doing more means we actually have more time somehow.
Yeah, it feels like if you go and like throw a frisbee around for 45 minutes, that's 45 minutes you can't spend studying.
Yeah.
But in reality, that 45 minutes that you spend like throwing a frisbee around, you might actually gain back, not in like 45 minutes of real time, but in like 45 minutes of times you would have wasted because you ended up being able to get through the same amount of study in a shorter period of time because you are more focused and your brain is able to function on a higher plane of existence.
On that higher plane, we're about to transcend.
Awesome. So the second one is to unplug from news a little bit. And there's kind of like a few ways to approach this, but essentially like depending on the kind of news you read and depending on how often you read it, when you read it or watch it or listen to it, it can actually be like a very like negative force on your day.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like, even if it's like it doesn't have to be like, like the world is going to end, like serious news, but even stuff like, like celebrity drama and stuff like that, it all is kind of like, a lot of it can be like quite negatively focused.
Yeah, I mean, I personally have never subscribed to consuming a lot of media just for the simple fact that I'm very cynical about it all. And so because of that, I don't engage with it because I think very rarely is media, whether it be social media or, I mean, they focus in the article mostly on like news stories and stuff. Like, radio, TV, like newsy kind of things.
News, yeah.
More often than not, they're going to be negative than they are positive. And despite what we want to think, we do take it on. It's not just something we idly watch. Like, if we go and get a little bit statistical about it, like, for example, it would be like, I think in it they talk about, the news is like, ridden with things like crime and nasty things that are happening in society. And I think because of that, it gets exacerbated in our mind and it becomes a bigger thing than what it actually is. Like
you start to kind of almost subconsciously feel like everything that is going on in the world is kind of in that light and in that lens of like conflict and negativity. Actually, this is kind of one thing, like news always frames things as like being like a direct conflict where often that's not the case. Like in news stories you always kind of see like one side presented against the other, whereas a lot of the time like there's like two parties but they're actually like 90% the same and there's only like one small component that there's like
that's the part of it, eh? And I think what we really have to understand about the news is they're only going to report things that are extraordinary, that are newsworthy, the things that don't happen often. But because we're presented with things that don't happen often in a very common way, we begin to feel as though this is what the norm is, even when it very much is not. And you can apply that for a lot of different situations. I think crime is probably the worst one. Like, and this is a problem, globally in the way in which news media or media presents crime to individuals. Like, fun fact, did you know crime in New Zealand's been decreasing over the past 20 years? Most New Zealanders don't think that because news grabby. Like, news is like the OG clickbait, like, is all I'm saying. Like, they will, like you said, they'll only report stories that are extraordinary. Not extraordinary in like, wow, that's really, like, extraordinary as in like not common. And they will,
there's
frame
got to be
things.
some sort of, there's kind of like a term used in like journalism school in New Zealand, and you could ask like any like journalism student, this is like definitely a thing. They like talk about it as like the F me factor. Like you have to like read the like headline and be like, F me, that's like really
crazy.
Like, it's crazy. Like, that's not like a normal thing. You don't hear like, man goes and walks dog, like in neighborhood. Like, that's not like newsworthy.
Or like,
it's not out of the ordinary.
There was a burglary in this really small house. Or, someone was at the pool and they had their towel stolen.
Yeah.
Like, that's not something you're going to report on, but it happens far more commonly. And I think, in relation to anxieties and stuff like that, it's if you want to cut it out completely, I think, I personally wouldn't argue with it, because even, in the article they say, they talk to friends at the end of the week and they find out they really didn't miss anything. The world goes on regardless, and I think more of, it's kind of like this idea of ignorance is bliss, but it's biased, I think, because the only things you're really going to be presented with are things that are more likely to have a negative impact on you.
Yeah, I'd say like a couple of things. Definitely like turn off the kind of things that interrupt your day. So like things like, like if you have the Stuff app or the Herald app, they will send you notifications all the time. Turn that stuff off. And then like on Facebook, if you see stuff in your newsfeed that you don't like, I'm not sure if you know this, but you can click on the little like three dots and you can say like hide posts, and over time it will show you less, like Facebook will learn that you don't want to see these kinds of posts, and they'll show you like less and less of those types of posts.
To be quite honest though, my beef with something like Facebook is like, I don't have it on my phone anymore. I haven't had it on my phone for a very long time now, and I really don't miss it, is because the content that it delivers is nothing like the content that I originally subscribed for, if you know what I mean. Like, in the sense that I signed up for Facebook to sort of like as a social platform with my friends, but like I do not remember the last time I ever seen my friends like post a Facebook status. Like, it's all just like weird.
Sponsored, StudyTime.
Yeah, the thing is, it is all like sponsored stuff, or their marketing team saying, do you remember seeing an ad for this in the past week? And the answer to which is always no. Like, it's such a waste of time. Yeah. And I'm sorry for anyone that is like avid about that kind of stuff. Like, I really like other platforms. Facebook, I don't have a lot of time for. But yeah, and social media is, you pick and choose your flavour. But I think with other kind of news that try to present, new what's happening in the world kind of stuff, you have to take it with a grain of salt, and you have to understand how selective stories are, the way in which they can frame a story that changes it. Like, I think if you are going to readily consume that kind of stuff, you have to do it with a very cynical kind of approach, simply because it's not as accurate as I think a lot of people are led to believe.
Yeah, I'll just throw one more thing in.
And then I've got one more thing, and then I'll be done.
And then we'll move on to
and then I'll stop my media rant.
One more thing is, there are actually there's some media companies now that are, there's two media companies that I know of, which are both owned by the same company. So one company, two websites, where they like have a rule where they only do positive news. They don't do negative stories. So there's they're both owned by a good friend of one of my someone I'm enthusiastic about. They're both like Gary Vee businesses. Oh, anyway,
right. Okay, I'm glad you were
I like phrased it in a really weird way.
You made that sound so shady.
Pure Wow, which is like a women's lifestyle website, and 1:37pm, which is like a men's lifestyle website. But they don't do negative stories. It's just like part of the policy.
He was going to be positive and leave that on a positive note. I'm not going to do that. One more thing. It's a thing called the propaganda effect, and it's basically this idea that if you are presented with something, regardless of whether or not it's true, enough times you are going to begin to believe that it is true. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if you see across a lot of different news stations and stuff like that, like repeated mentions of something like crime, you're going to think, wow, crime is a problem because look at all these places that I've seen it at. Look at how much I've been bombarded with this information. It doesn't even need to come from different sources, to be quite honest. You could have an unreliable source and be like, that's not right. But if you're presented with it enough, you're eventually going to start thinking it is. And it's weird. It's weird, but it's something, again, to be aware of.
But yeah, to conclude, like, reduce news consumption.
Get rid of it.
And You can, if you want to like switch it out for like positive content. And there is a lot of positive content.
Yeah, no, there definitely
There's a lot of like
is.
YouTube creators who like pretty much exclusively do like positive content.
Yeah. Again, it's just like whatever hole in the internet you decide to climb down into.
Reddit is probably particularly bad for that as well.
Yeah.
Just yeah.
If we're gonna name and shame.
Yeah. Okay, moving right along. This is always the controversial one, but having
controversial in that you don't subscribe to it.
I subscribe to half of this.
All right.
And I believe in the principle. Anyway, so number 3 is having a consistent bedtime, kind of prioritizing sleep, and then also like integrating afternoon naps.
Mm-hmm. You like the naps?
I like the naps. I aspire to the consistent bedtime.
I think just for 1 week.
Sleep.
I think force yourself to do that for 1 week.
There's a video coming out of this.
It wasn't last week.
Oh, it was a few weeks ago, but I didn't get around to editing the video. Long story. Anyway, there's actually a good joke. I'm not sure. It's a pretty cringeworthy joke, but I'm going to read it anyway from the blog, from Charlie's blog post. It's a Stephen Wright quote. My girlfriend asked me, "Did you sleep good?" I said no. I made a few mistakes.
I hate that. I hate that so much.
But no, like seriously, like this is actually like something that like he says in the article, and I read, and like straight away I'm like, this is like so true. He's like, every anxious person that I've ever met is either in denial about how much sleep they get, or just like doesn't every person who like doesn't, every like anxious person he's met is like doesn't get enough sleep and is in like denial about like how little sleep they get. And it's really true.
Yeah.
Like over like a fairly large sample of people.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely think sleep is important, and it's something that we don't play into enough. You know, the average is 8 hours. Definitely there are some people who function well on less. Don't lump yourself in there just too quick. And there are also some that need more.
I feel like
than that as well.
7 to 9 is like
7 to 9
is like a generally safe.
Yeah.
Like anywhere in that window you're probably good.
8 plus or minus 1.
Yeah.
Is for the general population, you know, like an acceptable amount to function.
If you are skeptical, I would encourage you just 1 week, 7 days, like try commit to like set a bedtime 11 p.m. whatever it is. Yeah. And just stick to it for 1 week, 7 days, and see how it goes, and try to see if it makes a difference in your life. No,
I definitely agree. I think, you know, just give it a go. I mean, I'm pretty religious about my sleep. Like, I love sleep so much. So, like, it's never been a problem for me, but I know it definitely is for, like, a lot of people. Yeah.
What are some, like, practical steps you can take towards making sure you hit that bedtime?
I think having a regular sort of structured schedule leading up to that, because quite often I find that it hits like a certain time and I'm like, oh, it's not too late, you know, I'm ready to sort of go to bed, and you know, by the time you like, you know, mess around and you know, like brush your teeth, get changed, do whatever you have to do, like, and then you know, you get into bed,
text messages,
you scroll for a while and then like, oh no, it's 1.
2 hours
yeah, like quite literally the whole process of me deciding that I want to go to sleep and actually going to sleep can take about 2 hours, which is insane really.
No, definitely. Like I think it's important to like have some sort of clear bedtime like routine that you follow, and kind of and probably the other thing is, it's a hard one, but like putting your phone away, like even if it's just half an hour before, like a lot of people say 1 hour, like if you can do that, that's incredible, you should totally do that. But even if it is just like half an hour before you go to sleep, putting your phone away, and probably the best thing to do is like if you can put it like in another room, like prefer like
that's so
it's a hard thing, but if you put your phone on the other end of the house on the charger, are you really, like when you're lying in bed and you can't go to sleep, are you really going to get up and go all the way to get it?
That is so true.
Yeah, so like that's like definitely like one thing you can do to like improve your like sleep hygiene. And then like the afternoon naps. This is what Charlie says, and I totally subscribe to this. Like simple, like 15 to 20 minute nap with an alarm, because otherwise like
It turns into a
It
sleep.
turns into a sleep. But like 15 to 20 minutes, I personally always do like 20 minutes is a really good, it's like the perfect time because your body kind of like gets to rest for a decent amount of time, but you don't like go into deep sleep, so you're not going to wake up and feel like really
groggy.
like, tired. You'll still feel like very alert when you wake up.
Yeah.
And
It's quite literally a power nap.
yeah, like put your phone away, and if you like, a lot of people like kind of like think too much about trying to sleep and then they don't fall asleep. Don't worry about like having to fall asleep. Just like put your phone, set the alarm for 20 minutes, put your phone away, like turn it on silent and put it away, and just like lie there for like 20 minutes. It doesn't actually matter if you like fall asleep or whether you just lie there.
Yeah.
Just like lie there with your eyes closed.
Yeah.
20 minutes, like no interruptions. Integrating that usually into the afternoon is like a really good thing and can give you like a really good kind of mental boost for the day.
I think as well, not only is it a mental boost, but like even if you don't actually get to sleep, it's a mental break.
Yeah,
you know what
absolutely.
I mean? It's a break from, you know, your work or your study or whatever it is you've got going on. You know, you can you know, take some time to just sort of like not think about it, I think, again. And I think because it is, you know, having this feeling of like sort of perpetual pressure or stress on ourselves that you know, adds up, and it makes, you know, straw that broke the camel's back kind of a situation, you know. And so I think by taking some time to do absolutely nothing, which isn't looking at a screen in some way, shape or form, is really, really useful.
Yeah, absolutely. Shall we move on to the next one?
Yes.
So the next one, number 4, is eliminating stimulants. So the things that come to mind are coffee, aspartame, which is like the sweetener, and like Coke Zero, Sprite Zero, like all the diet drinks.
Yeah.
And then
But
like
that's not stevia.
yeah.
It's
Gluten, I'm
in
just gonna
sugar-free
list them.
gums and stuff like that as well.
Gluten, refined sugar is a big one. And then the article also says alcohol, cigarettes, and marijuana. But like, no, seriously, like you don't have to.
You'd
like,
hope not too many of our viewers are just
I'd hope
chain
so,
smoking,
I'd
like
hope
high
so.
schoolers.
I'd hope not. But like, probably the biggest ones are like caffeine, aspartame, sugar, and for some people like gluten. I'll explain just why. Like, if you're patience. So like, if you like consume all of those things regularly, I wouldn't recommend like trying to cut 4 things at once, because that's like a big deal. But like experimenting a little bit and doing like, you know, 1 week without coffee and seeing how much of a difference that makes. Like, obviously if you drop coffee, the first few days are going to be hard, but in the like longer term, on the tail end of that, like, are you going to feel more alert? Like, feel like you're probably, it's not so much even about feeling more alert, but feeling as if your like energy levels and your anxiousness is a lot more stable rather than being like very
than having
erratic.
spikes. Yeah.
Same thing with sugar, aspartame, and like if you have a gluten intolerance, I presume you would like know through other means.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, if you wanted to, like, you can cut it out for a week and see how you feel. Like,
I personally don't subscribe to the whole like going gluten free if you're not celiac.
Yeah.
I personally don't know enough about it to actually make a fair comment though. Like, so I'm not going to go on a tirade.
It's like a controversial like thing, but like if you are like, there's nothing wrong with if you wanted to for a week, just like not have gluten if you want to. Like, I would advise you to
out of all of
prioritize
them,
the other
gluten
foods.
is probably the least of your concern.
I'd strongly encourage you to like look at caffeine, aspartame, sugar. They're definitely like much bigger culprits for most people. Actually, they're culprits for almost like everyone. Whereas gluten's only going to affect like a smaller percentage.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you're going to try to tackle gluten as the first one, you're probably dealing with some stuff.
If you're drinking, smoking during the school day, that's probably not a good thing.
That's probably not awesome either. I don't think you need us to tell you that.
Yeah. Awesome. I was actually not going to talk about this last one here, but you seemed very interested when you saw it, so I want you to.
Okay, yeah, so
I'm very keen to hear.
My thing about this.
So this is number 6.
Strap yourselves in, team.
Is fix macronutrient deficiencies. Micronutrient deficiencies. You can also fix your macronutrient deficiencies. If you're eating 100% fries in your diet, you should probably add some more protein to that. I'd recommend.
Just sprinkle some protein powder on top. Should be right.
You can sprinkle some cheese on top. That would work.
Nah, protein powder.
protein powder fries. What, do you want to go make some of those after the show?
I reckon Jordan
Table on the
would.
air?
Jordan would smash those.
She probably would.
Absolute
that
animal.
Concerns me.
Yeah, so the reason I think that have you ever actually had a micronutrient deficiency?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so in the past, I think females definitely experience it a lot more than males, is something like iron deficiency. And it's crazy how much it actually impacts on your life. Like, it makes you so lethargic, so tired, so unfocused. Like, you honestly just feel like you're walking through sludge every day. Like, you genuinely feel very, very awful. And, like, I had an iron deficiency, but I wouldn't have said that I had like a very severe one, and that's how much it affected me. So, you know, those who have it even stronger will experience those symptoms even more. Another really big one is B12, and B12 is something that it's an essential vitamin, meaning that you can't get it in the body. Or is it non-essential that you can't get in the body? The body doesn't produce it. Anyway,
the body doesn't produce it.
The body doesn't produce B12. You have to get it from your food. And the common foods for this, or the common, ones that doctors and stuff will tell you, is meat. Yeah. As a vegetarian, I have a problem with it. So another way of getting it is you can have it infused into foods. Quite often as well, a really good source is like mushrooms and nutritional yeast. I'm not going to get into a whole dietary thing right now, but again, B12 has similar symptoms to iron in terms of having a deficiency.
If you are feeling like consistently fatigued and tired, and essentially like everything else we previously talked about doesn't make a difference for that, you would probably be like, it would be of benefit to you to like go see your GP or someone like that and have a talk about that. And they probably, like, if it's an iron deficiency, you can get a blood test and test for that. And yeah, it's definitely like something to look into and consider.
I think everyone should at least, every now and then, just as a checkup type thing, see how they are with all those kind of things. Because they do really, really heavily impact your day-to-day well-being, much more so than you, I think, expect that it would.
Yeah.
And, if you are, and this isn't even just generally related to anxiety, but, if you are feeling really lethargic all the time, if you're feeling really tired, if you're feeling really, really unfocused, go and get those kind of micronutrients checked out, because they do have a really big impact on the way that you are living, I guess, just your general welfare. And things like iron, B12 you can easily buy supplements for, and that fixes it quite easily. Iron's a little bit more, you can buy it in pharmacies, but you usually have to take it with vitamin C as well to help with its absorption. But again, I'm not going to go into a weird dietary thing right now. But I think it is really, really important, just as like a, we are framing this in terms of anxiety, in terms of your day-to-day, but like in terms of like, I guess, your overall lifestyle and stuff, you can't keep up your study, you can't keep up, work if you're working as well, you can't keep up, just having a balanced lifestyle if you are finding that your nutrition is lacking. And to be quite honest, this isn't even due to like having like a bad diet. Like, it's,
no.
You're definitely more likely to have a deficiency if you don't eat super awesome, but there are a lot of other factors that play into it. So it's not like, even if you feel that you eat a healthy lifestyle, you can still be deficient. That's, those aren't synonymous
They're
for
not
each other.
directly correlated.
Yeah, 100%. But that's my rant over.
Awesome. I just want to like jump back to like for a second.
Okay.
Because like, I think I have mentioned this before on the show, but like, I know personally, like, if I eat like anything with like a lot of sugar during the day, like my energy levels will just like crash like later on. So I just like don't eat anything that's like high in sugar during the day. Like if I want it like as a treat, I'll have it like at night. Where,
he always has 10 o'clock
ice cream. My energy level like doesn't matter. But like if I have to go to a lecture in an hour's time, I'm not gonna like eat a chocolate bar, because I know in that lecture I'm gonna be falling asleep.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So like kind of like by eliminating stimulants or reducing those stimulants, the things we mentioned before, that can definitely help. But yeah, so there's five steps you can take, very like practical, like straightforward, easy to implement steps that you can take to reduce your anxiety on the day-to-day.
Yeah.
And you would be surprised how, even if you just took one or two of those and started kind of very religiously implementing that into your day, like how big of a difference it can make. over like after like a few weeks or a month of doing it.
I think that's the thing as well is I think a week generally you'll probably notice results, but I think even if you don't after a week, particularly dietary ones,
they take
give it a longer time.
Exercise, diet, things like that can take like a little. There's like a little bit of a lag before they start to.
But definitely try to think of it as into like a long-term investment as opposed to like an instantaneous.
Yeah, like you're not gonna like if you start doing it now. In a couple of weeks' time, 2-3 weeks, see how you feel. 4 weeks. The article definitely recommends like doing it over a month.
That would
encourage that. I mean, and a month's not that long. I mean, if you start now, like
before exams.
Before exams, like
you're Gucci.
Like, and if you can, relaxed. It's also like much better to start taking these steps now, where maybe things are a little bit lower stakes and like things aren't as stressful.
So you can actually give it the time.
Come, you are already in that kind of routine, and you like have that lower baseline anxiety level. So when exams come, it will increase. It may increase a little bit, but it's not going to increase by as much as it may have before you implemented these steps.
100%. Yeah. So I mean. Is there much else from us today, or?
Just like couple quick things.
Oh, couple quick things.
If you are a big StudyTime fan, and if you listen to this show, I presume you probably are, you can join us. If you want to join our StudyTime Insiders group, you can apply to do that. I'll put the link in the show notes.
Awesome.
And it's like a group where we like show blog posts or new resources we're creating or videos, and you kind of get an early access look at that. And when you give us feedback on those things, you go in the draw to win like a prize every month. So if that's something that interests you, you should apply to join. I'll put the link around.
There's prizes and stuff, and we have more contact with you guys, and we get to hear what you guys think.
We really want to know what you guys think, because there's only so much we can do, like sitting around like guessing what you guys want.
In our ivory tower.
It's a lot more.
I'm kidding.
It's a lot more like effective for us. Well, it's a lot more useful for us to actually know what you guys think.
And for you guys as well.
And actually, this is probably a good time to bring these as well.
Yeah.
We heard a lot of requests for StudyTime merch, so we are creating it. We have StudyTime black t-shirt. We've already ordered these. These are coming in.
Oh, that's exciting.
And these will be the prizes for this week's draw. We do a draw every week in the Insiders, every month in the Insiders group. These will be the prizes for this month's draw in the Insider group. White t-shirt.
White and black.
Also, is it black or navy?
I think it's black.
Black cap. So like.
Oh no, it says navy.
Navy. I think it's just low coal printing. Yeah, it is navy cap.
It's navy. Is there still some?
But yeah, those will be the prizes this week.
I need to stop doing
and
that.
I think we're going to make them. I think you'll be able to buy them in a few weeks' time.
That'll be pretty neat.
So yeah,
it's exciting,
excited for the StudyTime match. We just have one quick question, and we'll try to do this in under 5 minutes.
All right.
Gemma asked, how do you get back in the study game when you're exhausted from mocks? And a lot of people
take all the steps we just told you.
Take all the steps we just told you. Watch last week's episode.
Yeah.
But I'd also just like say, like, if you like literally just finish your mocks like in the last few days or in the last week, like don't feel the pressure to like
keep
everything like in like top gear. Like it's all right to kind of like, take it easy for a few days, like kind of let your mind reset a bit and then like go back into it.
Yeah.
Like it is like, it's fine to take breaks as long as you like come back to it at some point.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the thing is recognizing that you're allowed to have a few days or, however long, and just not worrying too much about it, but knowing it within yourself whether or not you give yourself an actual deadline or like a day in which you think I need to actually start to get back on it. And if you can give yourself like a solid actual day to do it, like say you finish mocks on Monday or whatever, and I can't frame this time schedule well, but just bear with the thought process. Say for example you had you just finished mocks and it was about a few more weeks until like you even got to your break or whatever. God, I'm struggling with this sentence. So, give yourself, a week or a few days or whatever to just like blob and just not think about it or whatever. But just say like this time next week, I will, get back into it. And actually giving yourself that deadline date is probably far more effective just for the simple fact that in my own experience, I will say, oh, I'll give myself a couple days, but because that's sort of like a vague notion at best, it's very easy to push that back even further and further and further.
Yeah.
Which is, can be quite easily the case.
Yeah. No, I think I think you summarised that pretty well. Awesome. If you have questions for next week's show, please let us know. Details on how to do that are in the description of the show. Anything else you wanted to add? MCAT, good luck for you guys who have the MCAT
good luck for
next
everyone
week.
sitting the MCAT.
If you haven't already, watch our MCAT strategy video that went up a couple of days ago. You should totally watch it. Mackenzie's in it.
I'm sorry.
I filmed it, so
He's not
I did
sorry.
my part as well. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry about the amazing meme at the beginning of the video.
Oh, what have I done? I haven't seen the video.
I'll show it to you after this.
Yikes.
Thanks for watching, guys, or listening. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.